Welcome to the Post Credits Podcast, where we talk about movies after the credits roll. My name is Jesse.
I'm Max.
And I'm Logan.
And today we get up to some monkey business as we review the first big horror slasher from 2026, Primate.
Yeah, it's the first weekly spoiler review of the first 2026 release movie weekly spoiler review that we're doing.
Yes, and 2026 in the sense that this had its initial American theatrical distribution on January 8th or 9th, 2026, because it also premiered at Fantastic Fest in
last
2025,
year.
which could be considered its release date. Some platforms like Letterboxd will count that as its official release.
Yeah, but essentially it's like to the public it released on the 9th.
Right.
But even like if you look back, the initial poster for this movie has the Fantastic Fest logo on it. Making it very clear where it premiered.
Right. And this received surprisingly good reviews out of Fantastic Fest. I mean, all things considered. The premise of this movie is that there is a pet chimpanzee who gets rabies and starts attacking people. Pretty classic slasher horror stuff.
Except this time an ape is the one that's doing it.
Right. But it seemed like people really, really liked this one. And it came out. Reviews got slightly worse, as was kind of anticipated. But let's ask the question that we always ask. How did y'all hear about this movie?
As for me, I heard about it last year at Fantastic Fest. Obviously, I obviously didn't go to Fantastic Fest, but I had no idea this movie even existed. I didn't know anything about it, and then Fantastic Fest, I always look at what movies premiere, and then sometimes there's a couple that get like really high praise that like I've never heard of, and Primate was one of them. All I knew about it was that ape slasher in a sense, and the thing that was really interesting to me, which I didn't realize until recently, before we went to watch it, it's directed by Johannes Roberts.
I believe it's Johannes.
Okay, Johannes Roberts, who is someone that's probably not super well known, but he's the guy who did 47 Meters Down, The Strangers Pray at Night, and the last Resident Evil movie, Welcome to Raccoon City, which all three of those I've somehow seen, and actually it's kind of weird how many movies from him that I've seen. He's a guy that I don't think he's made a good movie yet, at least prior to Primate. 47 Meters Down I thought was a fine shark movie. Strangers Pray at Night, I like it way more than the original Strangers. Still not far from the greatest horror movie ever made. And then Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City is a movie that I didn't like too much.
Yeah, I heard about this movie. Initially, it was while doing research for the 2026 Most Anticipated. I would be constantly checking the release schedule to see what came out. And naturally, when you're looking at the 2026 release schedule, where do you start but the first week of 2026? And so I saw movies like Soulmate, which were initially planned to premiere on this date. And Primate would come up when I was searching for those movies, but I never paid it much mind just because I didn't know what it was until Max said, hey, this Primate movie got really good reviews out of Fantastic Fest, and I looked it up, and then it was kind of on my radar. A little bit after that, the first trailer released, which I think is a fantastic trailer. It's just a single 911 call. Incredibly evocative trailer. The day after, the second trailer came out, which I thought was a horrible trailer that felt like it showed too much, and worse, what it showed wasn't interesting and just felt really, really generic.
That might have been the one that I saw first. Maybe I might be mistaken.
It's the one where they go to the house and then the monkey starts attacking.
Yeah.
Or the one where they actually show footage from the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
That might have been the one I saw when I was introduced to this movie. It might have been during Marty Supreme, but depends on when that was actually released.
Yeah, this is one of those.
I did see.
Yeah, go ahead.
I did see.
Okay, you saw the trailer. This is one of those trailers that was really overplayed for me in theaters. I kept seeing it.
Oh.
It was like the new Anaconda, which we constantly saw in front of all of the movies on the weekly spoiler review. And then when we went away and some of our late 2025 weekly spoiler reviews, I was seeing those movies back home in a larger theater that played more trailers. So I was seeing Primate a lot more.
Yeah. That's kind of my opposite reaction. That the only time I ever saw the Primate trailer was on YouTube when it first dropped.
Huh.
And the 911 call thing is really cool. A movie called I don't know how many the viewers have seen Long Legs, but those who remember, at least when that movie was initially being announced, there's so many teasers for that movie, and the first one was a 911 call, which I personally preferred to the Primate one, but like I love trailers that do that. It's a really creepy and eerie way to market a movie and really grasp the attention of, I guess, moviegoers. That's just like what exactly is going on there.
Right. And it gives just enough. And that 911 call is actually a scene in the movie. And it's a scene in the trailer that actually showed footage. It's a scene in that trailer as well. We see the end of that 911 call. But the thing is, it's like the way that it was marketed gave away the whole plot. The 911 call starts with, he killed all the rest of them.
Yeah.
And then it's monkey sounds in the background. It's like, oh, I wonder if the one that killed all of them, all of the characters that we see will die. It's like Final Destination or something, were killed by this chimpanzee. I don't know. It was tough having been essentially forced to participate in the pre-release for this movie, which I normally don't like doing, and then going into it kind of figuring what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, should we jump into it or?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So the cold open for this movie is we have this vet, and this vet goes into this enclosure with a chimpanzee he calls Ben. Ben wears a shirt. Isn't that fun? And
Yeah, very Rise of the Planet of the Apes-esque. At
Yeah.
least that's where my mind went.
and we don't know exactly why he wears a shirt. We figure it out eventually. But this vet goes in. He has a teddy bear that he tries to give to Ben, but Ben runs away. And then he has a syringe with something in it that he says will make Ben feel better because he's very, very sick. And so the doctor goes, and Ben's hiding in his little cubbyhole. And he goes to the cubbyhole. And then Ben jumps out, grabs the vet, drags him back in, and then we see Ben rip his face off.
Yeah.
Very signature move for the monkey here.
Yeah.
And also, it kind of reminded me of the opening to It. Like,
Yeah,
In
a
a
little
way.
bit. A little bit.
In a
Yeah.
way,
I
yeah.
can see that.
I
yeah.
see that as well. That's a good call. I didn't
Yeah, with
really-
Pennywise and Georgie.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, that is true. It does kind of remind you of that. And yeah, then we get the opening credits. The opening credits take place on these newspapers that kind of tell the story of what happened before, so that the movie doesn't feel the need to explain or to justify its premise necessarily.
Yeah, classic trope.
Yeah, newspaper clippings that show there's this woman who was a veterinary scientist of some sort, like a researcher. She takes in Ben, the chimpanzee, and teaches him to communicate at a level far beyond what you'd expect from a chimpanzee, including giving him like this iPad that has a bunch of pre-recorded sounds on it, so he can say things like good and bad and hungry and back. And yeah, and then that woman dies of cancer. And that woman happens to be the mother of the main character. And then we meet the main character after those opening credits. And the main character, her name is Lucy, I believe.
I think so, yeah.
She's played by Johnny Sequoia. So what is weird about some of these characters is they have very few defining characteristics, and that's true of a lot of slashers.
Yeah, but this one even more so. Like, I couldn't really tell you a defining trait about any of them. They're just there for the ape when the ape eventually goes ape shit.
Right. And so Lucy meets her friend that she was going on a trip back home to Hawaii with. Her name is, I think that one is Kate. She's played by Victoria Wyant. And Kate has invited a friend who Lucy doesn't like named Hannah, played by Jessica Alexander.
Is that the really annoying one?
Yeah.
Hannah?
Hannah's the really annoying one. And then there's also this guy that's with them as well. His name's Nick. He's played by Benjamin Chang. A cast of basically nobodies. We get one relatively established actor a little bit later, but, you know, it's a slasher. This is a launching pad kind of early career movie for a lot of these people.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Yeah, and that's true of a lot of slashers. The slasher tradition of the single personality trait for all of these victims, and the cast of nobodies dates back to what you could consider to be the very first slasher, which I would call Halloween. I know horror movies.
Yeah,
Movies. Were
I
made
agree.
before,
Yeah,
but-
Halloween is the one that kicked off the slasher craze.
Right. So they're on this plane. They're going to Hawaii, where Lucy lives, and Lucy kind of has a strained relationship with her family ever since her mother died, which her family seems to blame her for. Not the death part, just the fact that she doesn't visit them often, despite the fact that she evidently has to take a plane to visit them and is also in school, because they mentioned finals a bunch. So I mean, I don't know. It gets dramatic tension there, I suppose. A little bit of conflict. They get back to the house, and Lucy goes to visit her sister, Erin, played by Gia Hunter. And then they hang out for a little bit. We're introduced to Ben. Ben in this movie, fun fact, is the chimpanzee. He is the pet of the household. And he's played by a man in a suit named Miguel Hernando Torres Umba.
Yeah, which for me, when this movie first screened at Fantastic Fest, that was actually one of the hooks for me, is that a lot of the early reactions that I was seeing is that not only do they have a guy in a suit portraying the main ape in this movie, or the only ape, I would say, or well, no, that would say that actually does happen, but all I heard is that it was done surprisingly convincingly. And another movie that kind of does it similarly came out years ago, the original Child's Play, which, if those of you who've seen Child's Play, there's a couple parts where Chucky the doll is played by a guy in a suit, and it looks like a guy in a suit. And
Right.
I'll get into it more, but this movie does a great, or at least that actor and the makeup they do for him looks incredible. I think they absolutely pulled it off.
Yeah, I couldn't tell. Like, the performance is too good to be done via CGI,
Yeah,
but
because I know there's the motion capture looks good, but I can imagine this movie doesn't have the budget for that.
no, I mean, look, I don't know how expensive motion capture is at this point. Could be really expensive. Could be really cheap for the bad stuff.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it seems kind of expensive. I mean, like, expensive movies have it usually.
yeah, that's true. That's true. But I'm really glad that this was practical, because it is. It looks legitimately good, and Miguel Hernando Torres Umba gives a great performance as Ben.
Yeah, and even we're on the introduction of Ben, and it's just like he's just comes up from behind a bed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just very stoic, kind of like he's like, you're not really sure where it's at.
Right.
Was that also his voice doing the monkey sounds, or was that?
I believe it was a different person's voice. Yeah,
I believe there was probably a mix of that and stock.
So the monkey, the actor who's credited with doing Ben's voice is named Ben Pronsky.
Oh, well, look at that. I guess maybe that's where the name came from.
And Ben Pronsky, I don't think that he's been in many major roles, but he was in some more. He did some additional voices in a lot of high-profile animated movies, things like Across the Spider-Verse and Bob's Burgers, the movie, Hotel Transylvania 4, stuff like that.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
So we're introduced to Ben. Ben's really, really happy that Lucy's back. And so is their father. His name is Adam. He's played by Troy Kotsur, who is the big actor.
Yeah,
You might
without question, the most established actor in this
Yeah.
movie.
You might know him from Coda.
Yeah, which he won an Oscar for.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know Troy Kotsur or haven't seen Coda, he is deaf in real life, along with his wife as well, who was the first, I think, actor to win, first deaf actor to win an Oscar, and Troy Kotsur being the second. And they kind of play that. They play that very much in this movie, where every time they communicate with him, it's obviously in American Sign Language.
Right. And I don't know how accurate the American Sign Language is. Honestly, I don't speak American Sign Language.
I don't either.
But yeah, they do stick to the fact that this character is deaf, and I didn't know that the actor was deaf, but that makes sense, honestly.
Yeah, he's deaf. He's deaf in real life. Mostly if you watch Coda, I mean, obviously
It's children of deaf adults.
yeah, child of deaf adult
It's
is what that means.
about deafness.
Yeah.
So yeah, cool. And they do that very, very well. They don't really cheat on it, except for one scene in the early bit where it seemed like Lucy was talking to him just in regular English without the signing, and he understood, but then he didn't afterwards. It made it a little confusing, and we don't.
I think that was Nick who said something, and then
And then
Lucy
he
didn't translate, but he understood it anyway.
right.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just
kind
that
of
one
weird.
little bit.
They slipped up once.
Because I know people who are deaf in real life. It's like it's like a lot of lip reading.
Right. If he's maybe he's really good at reading lips.
Yeah, because I know like I knew somebody who was, or I met somebody who was deaf, and it's like they can read your lips, but it's
Mhm.
just like if you have to, or it's just like if they talk to you, it's like if you don't know American Sign Language, you like type it on a phone or
yeah.
something. Yeah.
And we see him do that as well.
Yeah.
Later in the movie, we see Ben, and so Hannah is out by the pool, and Ben is also there, and Ben kind of scares her. Hannah doesn't really like Ben, and
I mean, questions why there's a chimp running around their house.
right, and Ben shows up and scares her, and then Ben stares really, really aggressively and twitchily at the pool. And if you know anything about rabies, it used to be called hydrophobia, and there's a
that was
reason for
the
that.
text at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Explain what rabies was, so
Yes.
you know what was going on.
Rabies is it's a virus that usually, I mean, it's super deadly. In real life, by the time you show symptoms, you're typically like already dead.
Yeah.
And the movie posits that 48 hours after being bit, because you usually you get it after being bitten by an animal that has rabies. It posits that after getting bit, if you're not treated within 48 hours, it's gone. Like you're dead basically.
Mhm.
As far as I understand, a lot of the more typical textbook symptoms, like being scared and aggressive about water, usually lie dormant until after 48 hours when it's impossible to cure. We actually know when Ben got bit. He got bit about 12 hours before the movie starts, and immediately he's like
Yeah, and it was
rapid.
because there's a scene where the sisters are reunited. Troy Kotler's character walks in with a bag with a mongoose and
Yeah.
said that with this guy in his cage last night.
Right, and we actually see Ben. We see the bite on Ben, and his teddy bear has blood on it. But important to note about Adam is that he is an author. He writes thriller books. And he has one series called The Silent Blank. The new one is called The Silent Death. And he's doing a press tour for it. And also there's an agent from a major studio that wants to adapt it into a movie. That's fun.
Yeah.
So he has to leave immediately, which allows, Nick and the rest of them to get up to some mischief.
Yeah. Classic older teenage shenanigans,
Right.
so to speak.
But the Ben in the pool thing, we actually see Adam type on his phone that Ben is weird around strangers,
Yeah.
but he's also weird when he has rabies. So,
Yeah, because the idea was that Ben was, I guess, quote unquote sick, locked him up in his cage, and it's like, hey, a vet's coming around.
right.
And obviously, as you've heard us describe the opening scene, you know exactly what goes on.
Yep. And so basically, Adam's like, okay, I'm just going to lock Ben in his cage for a while until he gets better. But then the vet comes in, has to unlock his cage to get in, and then dies, so the cage is now unlocked. Meanwhile, there's some teenage mischief that always happens in these slashers.
Yeah, kind of fun detail. They're swimming in a pool, and a Charlie XCX song is playing in the background, which like one of her most recent ones. I thought was kind of funny. That was just like a random needle drop, and especially like somewhat recent song that's not made for the movie. I thought that was kind of a weird detail, but like every post I've seen about Primate has that song in the background, which I think is kind of funny. Because this is not a movie that you would expect a poppy, catchy song to be over the background.
I mean, to be honest, a lot of modern, ironically, one of the main signs of like teenage rebellion in these slasher movies is that they play popular music.
Yeah, it seems like yeah.
Oh, they like rock music. Now they're transgressive.
Yeah, I guess like it has to do with eras as well. Like if you watch
Yeah.
any horror movie from the 80s, like the soundtrack is very prevalent.
Right. So it was like, oh, the kids are into rock music now. That signifies that they are that they're teens essentially, right? And then it was rap music, and now it's pop music.
Yeah.
So Kate gets really, really, really drunk, and so Lucy puts her to bed, and then Lucy comes in to see Hannah and Nick, and Lucy kind of has a crush on Nick, but now Hannah and Nick are making out, and they're all sitting together, and they call these two guys that they met on the plane. Their
Two,
names
like
are
frat bros.
yeah.
Very, very stereotypical frat bros.
There's Drew, played by Charlie Mann, who is in Watchers, and Brad, played by Tien Simon. And basically, they go right to voicemail, and they're like, "Hey, welcome, like, come over, and you can have sex with us."
Yeah. There's a funny joke where they call them, they don't answer. One of the girls puts the phone down, she picks it up, is like, oh, thanks for calling the whorehouse, and it turns out to be one of their moms or something.
Yeah, but that's when Kate throws up because she's so drunk, and then
Yeah, you can tell that they didn't think that through.
Whether or not they thought that through, I don't know if they had a punchline that was funnier than "Welcome to the Whore Mansion." Oh shit, you're my mom. Like
And then like she throws up, you don't see anything.
right.
So
Yeah,
it's like,
we actually got a shot of the floor afterwards. It is pristine. It really seeped right
it's
through
like
the floorboards.
It's like the cleanest that floor has been for the entire movie.
It's like that bit in Five Nights at Freddy's 2 where they spill the breadcrumbs on the table and the waiter comes and scrapes them off immediately.
Yeah, they do it twice. I'm like,
Maybe the
what?
monkey had something to do with it.
Maybe.
He's going around manically cleaning things.
The
9 to
biggest
5.
sign of rabies.
Can't stop cleaning. So much cleaning. And Kate somehow, she wakes up and just kind of rejoins them. She seems to have sobered up.
Really quickly.
Nothing like a 10-minute power nap for the senses. And so she goes back, and then she goes back near the pool, I believe, and Ben's there, and then Ben tries to attack her. Or no, sorry, I mixed it up. I'm not as prepared as I usually am because plot summaries for this movie don't exist. So apologies. Kate doesn't get to the pool. Kate gets to the dining room where Ben is. Ben tries to attack her. She closes the sliding glass door on him and then calls everyone else there to figure out what's happening. They tell Erin to stay where she is. She doesn't. She gets bit. And they all jump into the pool because Ben can't swim.
Yeah, and I will say, the biting shot, this whole movie, just with the gore and stuff, it really goes for it. So if you're squeamish, this is probably not the movie for you.
Yeah, there's not a kill that they really cut away before it happens.
Yeah. But basically with her character is that, she has a leg wound for, I think the rest of the runtime.
Well,
especially with, animal on human deaths. I feel like that cuts away more often, but they really do show that, so.
Yeah, and I think, the big thing that Erin getting bit does is it puts a timer on the film.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We know that Adam's not supposed to come back for another week, but they have 48 hours to get her to a hospital or she dies. Those are the stakes now.
On the other hand, isn't her jumping into a chlorinated pool might have something to do with cleaning everything up, but
I don't know if chlorine sterilizes rabies.
Doesn't water on its own? Isn't that the whole point of the hydrophobia bit?
I mean,
that's something that I might have misremembered, but
I don't know. Maybe that's not something that I know super duper well. But if you want to look that up, yeah, I can. We can figure out if that's the case. And I mean, so. Rabies in general, this movie takes liberties with. Rabies is not incurable within 48 hours. It's only incurable within 10 days. After 10 days, it becomes incurable. And the vaccine it works very well for rabies. If you get bit by someone you know has rabies, they could have honestly waited this one out.
Yeah.
The only issue would then become food and water, but honestly, they really could have waited that one out.
But yeah, they're all basically they're trapped in the pool now, and they figure that something's really wrong with
Yeah.
Ben. They're just like, that's not Ben.
Right.
And there's
They
a bit where
have to get to the hospital.
and there's a bit where Ben grabs the iPad that he uses to communicate and presses. I don't know if it's at this point or not, but I remember happening pretty early on where it says, every time he pushes the button, it says like good, bad, and it has
Right.
like the names. And he pushes Lucy dead.
Well,
Right.
he says, dead, 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 dead. There's actually a scene in the trailer that they put on that scene. It's another one of those situations where they take the audio from one scene and smack it onto a different scene.
Yeah.
But there's a scene early on when Lucy comes home, Erin presses on the keypad, Lucy bad, 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 bad. And they put that over Lucy dead, 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 dead in the trailer.
Yeah.
But they say that that's not Ben. The rabies has effectively taken over his brain, and now they are basically under siege in the pool. And there are a bunch of things that they have to figure out. Their first order of business is they have to grab this pineapple floaty, right?
Yeah, to put
Just so they don't have to swim.
Right, so they don't have to tread water, and so that they can eventually sleep. And the pineapple floaty is pretty close by, but they do have to get out of the pool to go get the floaty. And of course, she moves very, very slowly because any sudden moves would alarm Ben. And so she goes, and then she gets the floaty, and then
It's a very tense scene. Like
very, very good scene, by the way.
with all of
this made like surprisingly good tension, I would say.
I was definitely glued to my seat for a lot of these tense scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
They did
cutting.
that very well.
It's cutting back and forth between her moving slowly and then Ben, who is still essentially fighting against this virus and the violent urges that he now has. And she gets the pineapple floaty, but then she sees a phone on the ground.
Yeah. And they're all just like screaming at her. They're just like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And us as the audience is like, are you serious? But there's a phone. And obviously one thing you can do with a phone is you can call for help.
911.
Right. And so basically, but the phone is closer to Ben. So she's stalking closer and closer to Ben, and she reaches for the phone, and then bring, bring, and it starts ringing really, really loudly. So Ben gets really agitated, and then someone else jumps out of the pool to go distract Ben, and then she runs and grabs the phone, and everybody jumps in, and everyone escapes at that time at least.
Barely.
Yeah.
And so they decide to sequester themselves on the opposite end of this infinity pool, and then Ben climbs up the wall and through the ceiling, like to the other side, where now he can attack them more easily because it's an infinity pool. It doesn't have that much of a barrier between the water and the side, so if
Yeah.
they're sitting on the side, he can get them even if they're in the
and
water.
And if you know anything about infinity pools, especially the house that they're in, you jump off that pool, you're gone. Like there's a huge fall down.
This infinity pool happens to be built on the side of a mountain.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, and but Ben is sitting on the edge, and this guy Nick, he's like,
I'm gonna push him off.
how about I push him? And he pushes him, and then Ben falls, but then grasps onto the side, grabs Ben's wrist, flips him over the end of the pool, and we see Nick fall down, smash his head open on the rocks.
The way they filmed him falling down was so crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
The camera's shake. You know
Yeah.
that one Tyler the Creator clip when he's falling out the sky?
I think so. Yeah.
yeah. It is. It's really, really great. But then Ben still survives. So then they get up all on the floaty and they decide, okay, let's call 911. But the screen was broken, so the keypad doesn't work. And honestly, I think the keypad not working has more to do with the fact that you just dunked it in water.
Yeah. You can still use a keypad with a broken screen. At least if it's a screen protector, you can just peel it off.
Well, I don't think it was a screen protector is the point. I think the question is, why is the keypad not working, but the rest of the touchscreen is?
Yeah, I wasn't sure. Yeah, that felt off.
But they end up getting a call. I don't know, maybe there was one unaffected part that happened to be where the call again button was on the contact hot guy's plane. And look, I think that the way that they manage their contacts in this movie is completely ridiculous.
It's very unrealistic.
she
I don't
has-
know anybody who does. I don't know a single person who does that.
She has one contact with one number for 2 different people.
Yeah, how does that work? That doesn't work.
It doesn't. So whatever. They end up calling, and then they're like, "Oh my God, we need help." And then
they're both there.
yeah, they're both there. Whew, lucky break. And they're like, "We need help," and he's like, "Oh, we're gonna go there and we're gonna have sex with you." And
We're
they're
drunk.
We're
Like,
drunk.
like,
We're getting so baked. And
the weed.
Like, did they just not read the room? Like, I don't.
Yeah, they they answer. They're like, "We have been straight up partaking in the devil's lettuce," and then the phone, the woman holding the phone. I don't know which one it was.
Yeah, I don't either.
Ben hangs from the ceiling, grabs her by the hair, and she drops the phone, and it dies.
It
Yeah.
rips her scalp.
Not even
with-
grabs her by the hair, but yeah, part of her hair is gone.
Yeah, rips that part out. But the hair and makeup guys were good enough that I didn't notice that for the rest of the movie. So
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
phone
whoops.
falls to the bottom of the pool, and obviously when you drop your phone in the pool for that long, it stops
it's gone.
working.
It's
yeah.
gone. It's dead. And they also did call the veterinarian, and they now know that the veterinarian is dead.
Yeah, because he doesn't answer, and then the camera pans up, and it's like,
Yeah,
I thought he was
there's-
in Ben's cage, and obviously they make the connection that he's
Right.
definitely not coming out.
Well, so about this time, we actually cut back, and I didn't expect this part. We cut back to Adam on his book tour. And Adam, he's signing books, and he gets a text that says, "What
Are you kidding me?
are you kidding me?" And then from a nurse, like a veterinary
Because
nurse.
he sent the mongoose.
What was that?
The aliens.
Oh yeah,
they-
set the mongoose in for.
The monkey is in this
yeah.
room and messing with the mics, but other than that, yeah, the mongoose was sent over to the veterinarian. And we're back.
We had some issues with the mic, and the console kind of blew up on us. Kind of same thing that happened with Zootopia 2, if you remember that episode. We talked about that. But we're back, so sorry if there's a little bit of a break in the conversation that we're discussing, but we did mark down that we were talking about the mongoose, so.
Yeah. So yeah,
the mongoose. The dad gets the text from the vet that the mongoose was infected with rabies, but he responds in doubt that there are no rabies in Hawaii.
which weird explanation, but you know.
Well, kind of the point, there's no rabies in Hawaii. Is there rabies anywhere? I mean, it's just with the animals. I don't feel like it's the virus. It's not like native to places.
Yeah, that was my thought. I was like, what?
Yeah.
What?
But clearly, he doesn't seem to think that that's true. And the nurse even says, like, it could have been a contaminated sample, so they're going to go and they're going to retest. So we then go back to all of the people in the pool. We're down to just 4: Lucy, Kate, Erin, and Hannah. And they decide they need to go and get a new phone, because if they don't get if they don't get a new phone, they're not going to be able to call the cops, and they need to call the cops. And Zach's phone is charging in the living room, and Ben's currently gone, so they don't really know where he is. So
Was his name Nick or
Uh-oh.
Zach? I forgot.
his name was probably Nick. I don't.
The one who it was Nick,
Yeah.
Nick.
who's at the bottom of the cliff now.
Who's Zach? We may never know. So they try to sneak into the house, right? And they're being very, very sneaky, and they're going up the stairs.
So tense.
It's very, very tense, and they get into the room. They decide to close the sliding glass door behind them and lock it. Not a smart move, I feel, but honestly, when people criticize movies for characters making bad decisions, I really do understand why they're making these decisions.
Yeah, because it's just like if you were in that scenario, it's just like part of it's just like you're so panicked that it's just like inherently like you're so
Like you're not making
like you're like
decisions.
overstimulated or just like really like freaked out that it's just like inherently like the first thing that comes to your mind is, oh, I have a smart elaborate plan. This is what I'm gonna do each second. I'm just like, I mean, there's some movies where that argument can be made, but I feel like in terms of here, it's just like they're shown to be really scared.
Yeah,
Like
there's
if I
nuance
was
to it.
scared, I would probably not make it out of there, to be honest with you.
For every movie where a character makes a bad decision because they're panicked. There's a movie in which a character who has a whole plan for what to do to survive an attack like this is shown to be a complete asshole because that's what you have to be in order to be like smart about this. Think Jesse Eisenberg in Zombieland.
Yes.
So yeah, they go upstairs. They're in this room and they see the phone, and they reach for the phone. And then they step on a remote, and they must have pressed the Dora the Explorer button because that's the show that starts blaring on the TV.
Yeah, you just hear the intro. I'm not gonna sing it for copyright reasons, but I couldn't help but kind of chuckle at it. But obviously, feeling tense at the same time. That's just like the one sense you're freaked out because loud noise, the monkey's gonna hear it. But then at the same time, it's very if you know the Dora the Explorer theme song, it's one that's just like
Here's a monkey in there.
yeah.
Yeah, there is Boots.
Far less violent and
Once Boots enters the public domain, they won't even need to make a public domain slasher because they already have Primate.
Yeah, that's true.
But
so they saved that from happening.
So Dora starts playing on the TV, and guess who hears? But the chimpanzee Ben, he hears. Now here's the thing, okay?
Yeah.
Earlier in the movie, we understand that these characters hear a cell phone ringing from very far away, across the property of the house, down to the enclosure. So, but then the Dora the Explorer starts blaring on the TV, like, not that far from the pool, and everyone in the pool is like, oh, I wonder what's happening up there. Hope they're okay.
Yeah, it's just like, do you not
Maybe it's just
hear-
a very isolated.
Yeah, and it kind of
very
sounds like it's like
soundproof.
loud noises. It's just like, how is it like every time there's like a faint loud noise, it's just like Ben just essentially teleports
He fast travels.
in a sense.
He's
So like
very-
right when the TV clicks on, it's like he gets there so quick, and I'm like,
That's- yeah,
how
that's
does he do that?
That's a slasher thing. They do that a lot in slashers. And so they both hide in the closet. They didn't get the phone, and they are hiding in the closet.
Yeah,
Ben
yeah.
comes. Ben kind of stalks around for a while. This scene goes on forever.
Yeah, it's really long.
Yeah.
Ben is walking around the living room, being an angry monkey. They're in the closet. Then Ben starts looking at the closet, and they hide further into the closet. And then he goes away from the closet. He starts watching Dora. He starts banging on the TV.
It's very much like that one Nope scene.
Yeah,
The monkey. This whole movie reminded me of that, but like this scene in particular was.
yeah, it's essentially taking that
Pretty
part from
much it.
Nope, and it's just like making that a full-fledged like feature-length
Pretty
movie.
much.
All I will say at this point, like I think it's obvious that the monkey from this movie will kick that monkey's ass. Like, no doubt. I feel like if the two of them would fight, I feel like this one. I feel like this one maybe because it has rabies, but I think it would win.
Yeah. So the Ben breaks the TV. Then he looks into the closet. He actually breaks the door of the closet and he looks in, but he can't see through all those clear garments that are in there.
All that plastic.
All that
Yeah.
all that transparency, really, he can't see through it.
Yeah,
So he ends
shocking.
up walking away, and they get down the stairs, but then Kate trips on her way down the stairs and then gets her head bashed in with a rock.
Ouch.
And so then Lucy goes back into the pool.
Yeah, this monkey does not like faces
Yeah,
or face related things.
No, he does not. And then we go back to Adam. Adam is at the meeting between him and the agent for the studio when he suddenly gets up and leaves. And then we see a car pulling into the driveway. Oh, it's Adam. Nope.
Guess who it is?
it's the
It's the
frat
frat
boys.
bros.
It's
Drew
the
and
frat bros.
Brad.
Yo, dude, look at the size of this house.
Yeah.
Look at the size. Oh, sorry, I might be too close to the mic there. Dude, look at the size of this house. It's like immediately, like they miraculously get into the front door. I don't think this house has security systems.
It really doesn't.
Yeah,
I guess the monkey is, in a way now, but
yeah. It's just like if that house had security systems, the movie would be over in 10 minutes.
Well, I mean, the monkey wouldn't trigger the security systems.
Yeah, or it's just like
The only thing that would have been different is that Drew and
yeah, those guys would have triggered something.
Right, but that wouldn't change much because you will see very soon after the police end up getting alerted of this situation. So Drew and Brad start going. Drew is like, I'll take the upstairs. Brad says, I'll take. Brad is taking the downstairs. Drew is taking the upstairs. Because Drew says that the girls are upstairs in their bedroom waiting. And somehow Brad's like, okay, I'll go downstairs then.
It's like, okay, great. Two main mission.
And so then Brad goes downstairs where he finds like the porch, but Drew goes upstairs where he finds the bedroom, flops down onto the bed, and then
We get a lot of monkey POV shots at this end.
Yeah,
Oh my
get a lot of
holy
a lot
tension.
of monkey business.
and basically he picks up the picture, like a picture of Ben, and he's like, "Man, what kind of family has a pet chimpanzee?"
There he is, teleportation.
Yeah, and then he puts down the picture, and Ben is there. That's actually one of the more believable moments where Ben moves because he wasn't that far away last time we saw him, and there was plenty of time in between.
Yeah,
because
true.
So we cut away to a completely different city, so we don't actually know how much time has passed. This movie plays with that a lot, where it's like it is a very kind of typical like time dilation in film, like, oh, things take longer or shorter depending on how we need them, and it's all about staying consistent with what you're doing. This movie will cut away to something different before Ben shows up somewhere else, just to make it a little bit more believable that Ben would get from place to place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I didn't have an issue with that.
Right. So Ben then climbs onto Drew while he's in the bed. Drew tries to distract him with the keys to his car, and he tries to get Ben to fetch, but it doesn't work. Ben ends up ripping his jaw off.
Yeah.
He's literally holding his arms open.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at first,
Yeah,
you
but he
think
bends
he's
down
gonna
and, like,
do
pulls
something
his
else
jaw.
to him, but
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Drew even says, "Whoa, at least take me out to dinner first." And then he dies promptly.
Yeah.
And then, so now the idea is that the keys are going to become important. And Drew's dead. So we go back to Brad, who's downstairs, who finds the porch, and then who's down there other than Ben again. And they do actually find the they find the girls in the pool, but they're trying to tell him to call the cops, but he doesn't get the message quick enough until Ben stalks up behind him and throws and kills him and throws like this wooden ottoman chair thing off of the balcony and onto the deck of the pool.
will be important later.
Yeah.
It is important setup.
Because doesn't it break?
Yes, it shatters and splinters.
Yeah.
And then we go back to Hannah. Ben is again kind of gone from the fray. We never really know where he is, but Hannah has this genius idea. She wakes up because they sleep in the pool, and she wakes up and she notices that Ben is gone. And so she gets out of the pool, runs through the house, and grabs some car keys from the foyer. And this is a part that was in the trailer. She grabs the car keys, runs into the first car. The doors are open. She sits in the driver's seat and dials 911. This is where the 911 call comes in. And then she tries to fit the keys into the car. But they're not the right keys. They're the keys to the other car. And so she steps out of the car and ready to go into the other car. But who's in between the two cars? Ben.
Drew.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Uh,
Ben.
Well, part of Drew, actually, because you know what Ben is holding. Drew's jaw.
Yeah.
Samson style.
His jawbone.
And the car keys.
And the car keys. And Drew's car keys. And so...
Yes, Drew
he-
forgot to lock his car when he went in the house. He was so excited.
But Drew was also pressing buttons on the keys, so now
Yeah.
Ben is pressing buttons on the keys, and he unlocks the door, and then Hannah has to lock the doors. And
Well,
then...
she only locks one of them, so
Right.
so much for that.
And then he pops the trunk, walks in through the trunk. And then, so there's this thing that horror movies seem to do nowadays where, like, the scariest thing that they could think of is someone being pulled backwards
Yeah.
Because they do this twice in this movie where they jump out of the car, they go somewhere, and we get a shot from the front where they're going backwards.
I mean, the idea is you don't explicitly see who they're being grabbed by. I
Yeah.
guess is
It's
the
just-
scary thing, but I mean, you know.
Oh yeah, I was about to say they do that trope a lot in this movie. A lot
Yeah.
of people being pulled by. I mean, the opening scene is that the scene will get you under a couch, or like earlier, like she's trying to climb under the couch, or I think maybe that's later,
Oh yeah.
and he gets she gets dragged back, and then the car where Hannah dies. It's that exact same thing.
So yeah, Hannah's face is pulverized, as is the case for the rest of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Hannah is now dead. We're down to, and then there were two, because Kate's dead, Hannah's dead.
Yeah, it's the sisters that are
It's
left.
just Lucy and Aaron at this point, and
You know, the important characters.
right, and then who shows up to the house? But Adam.
Yeah.
He made it. But then Lucy hears that Adam is back. And so she's like, I need to go and stop Ben from killing Adam, who is her father.
Yeah.
And so she says to Erin to stay here. She goes inside. She lures Ben upstairs. They run around. Adam can't hear any of this because he's deaf.
Yeah.
But what he sees is, ooh, pizza box on the ground. I'll grab a slice.
Ground
Which I actually thought that was kind of a clever thing to do because like they play with this thing of sounds.
Yeah.
And having a deaf character in there.
yeah,
as somebody who can't hear it.
is pretty fun.
Yeah. And especially like the
And
actor
then
being
it sort
deaf.
of just fades into Hannah's listening version of a point of view.
Right. So there's the silent point of view, and then there's the hearing point of view. And so, usually when it's an Adam solo shot, like when the focus is on Adam, it's a non-hearing point of view. But sometimes it's a hearing point of view, even when it's on Adam. But they don't make the mistake of like, oh, it's really loud, so Adam can hear it. They don't make that error. So that's good at least. But then Erin comes up and tries to stop Ben from killing Lucy. It's this like everybody is so humble and willing to put their lives on the line for this thing.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean everybody is so selfless in this last part, and I think that's really cute. Actually, it's a really good dynamic.
I mean, with family.
Yeah,
Yeah, they care
But-
for one another.
it's not always the case. Sometimes they don't do that, and that's actually a point. That's like an issue or an issue the character has to deal with. And sometimes it's not, but it is cool that they did it for this one. And basically, Ben is attacking them, as he is known to do, and they're rolling around on the porch, and Adam blows this like dog whistle that alerts Ben that he's doing a bad thing, and so he jumps up, and then they really start wailing on Ben. Like Ben goes to attack someone, and they hit him on the head with like a shovel.
And then the shovel breaks
Yeah.
on
And
his
then-
face, and he's just unfazed.
Yeah.
And then they throw the shovel away, and eventually,
Adam's just kicking his ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, which kind of.
All right.
If that happened in real life, he would be gone within 60 seconds. No,
You
not
know-
the movie, but
we've got 3 people working on this chimpanzee, and eventually, the chimpanzee jumps on Adam, and Adam stabs it with like a shard,
Like
of
a
something,
glass
like a glass
bottle.
bottle.
Like a wine
Just
bottle.
really gets it up there, and Ben collapses, and it looks like he's dead. And then they all hug, and then
Uh-oh.
Ben gets up. Very Halloween. I mean, we've seen this on a million times. They have to fight him again. They throw him off the balcony, where he's impaled on the splintered wood chair that was thrown off the balcony earlier.
And now he's dead.
And now he's
Yeah.
really actually dead. They get Erin to a hospital, both within the 10-day actual thing for rabies and the 48-hour movie timeline for rabies.
Sure.
And everybody is okay. Adam is currently
Well-
bleeding out of an open chest wound, but he's a trooper.
Sure.
yeah.
He doesn't get a stretcher.
Everybody in that family is a pretty much well trooper. Like they step over broken glass, mostly
oh.
unfazed.
There's
Yeah, they don't.
There's
They don't like they're literally stepping on glass. There's only one shot where it actually pierces someone's foot and they show it.
Oh, it's
I
horrifying.
don't.
And then it's like, very, if you see Final Destination Bloodlines, there's a death that involves that stuff. Really clever in that one, in that movie. And then this one is just like, they're walking on glass shards, no noise, which is kind of crazy, but it's
And
like,
then Aaron has an open wound in chlorinated water and is just fine with it eventually.
Well, they patch it up.
yeah.
I mean, it's
like with a tourniquet.
they
but-
use a shirt as a tourniquet, and so
And then her scalp gets partially ripped off, but
was that Erin? I thought that was someone
yeah, that
else.
was Aaron.
I thought that was a different person, though. Was that the other girl?
I thought it was Kate or Hannah or someone.
I'm pretty sure. I don't know. It could have been any one of them because they really don't show the effects of that afterwards.
It's
but-
true. So the injuries do tend to stick around. I mean, typically the injuries are like in these like locations where no one gets a black eye in this movie, no one gets a bruise on their face. It's always Ben attacks them by
Drawing blood, basically.
right, drawing blood on their like stomach where they're already wearing a shirt, or
Or-
on their back.
Or ripping
Or-
off their face
Well, but that's when he kills
when
them.
he kills them.
We see all the deaths in gory detail. We don't always see all the injuries in such gory detail. No one like loses an eye in this movie.
Yeah.
Could have been cool, but I don't think it's that bad of a missed opportunity given.
Could have been cool.
Yeah, could have been. Given how much they show of the actual deaths, I'm not so mad that they didn't go with the injury part of it.
They really did lean into the stereotype of monkey ripping faces off.
They really did. He does
Yeah.
that so
It's
many
so
times.
But yeah, that's the end of the movie, I think.
Pretty
Right.
much.
Yeah, that's the end of the movie.
It just ends.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, surprisingly
that's credits.
surprisingly a short movie. It's only 89 minutes with credits.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it really goes in and out, and honestly, it doesn't overstay its welcome. It really gets to the point quickly and efficiently, and just
Not too much background details. Not too much.
it has
anything
everything
other than monkey mad.
right. It Furious George, if you will.
Yeah, Furious George.
The movie doesn't overstay its welcome. The movie just gets right into it.
No monkey business.
No, ironically, no monkey business, only ape business.
Yeah, it's just like it. Yeah.
Yeah, it is tightly constructed. It is an 89-minute movie, really 85 minutes of actual movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, it does everything it needs to do, and it's a fun slasher. What do we all think of this one?
Yeah, you can go first.
Yeah. I think the first thing for me is really broadly the way they used POV shots in this to really this is a part of the bigger theme of how much tension they can fit into one scene, because they do that so many times, and each time I'm practically glued to my seat.
Yeah.
Like the suspense that, oh no, something's gonna happen. Where's Ben gonna show up? Oh no, he's gone. He's not. Can't see him. Where could he possibly be? And like the fact that it's a monkey and not anything, that to me is a lot scarier and really carries the scare factor of this movie, because monkeys, they're realistically, they have been a problem. They really have ripped people's faces and other parts off. They are pretty crazy creatures.
They're horrifying. They're terrifying.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
cool setup for a slasher inherently because of that, because that kind of stuff is really, really horrifying. At least to me, it's really horrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is very horrifying. I agree. I think that this movie has one thing going for it, one thing that kind of negates that, but also not really negates it. So the big thing is the trailer sucks for this movie still. It spoils way too much. Because we see these characters and we know how they die immediately. The second thing is the fact that all of the actors look the same and I don't know any discernible characters kind of helps that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of something I was gonna say, but yeah, like with characters and stuff. But yeah, you can.
Yeah, no, I mean, all I
Yeah,
was going to
yeah.
say is just every character looks the same, and with the exception of Aaron, whose story isn't spoiled that much in the trailer, it's like when these sequences happened, I kind of knew whether or not they were making it out of that one alive, just based on what I had seen.
Yeah, a lot of yeah. I mean,
Uh,
obviously, like the two main sisters who live in that house inherently survive.
I mean, not inherently, they could have died. That's the one thing that doesn't get spoiled.
Yeah,
So, yeah, you kind of figure, okay, these guys are gonna die early, and then this guy is gonna die at this point, and then this one dies at this point, and these two die at these points. It's pretty rote, but it does a good job at making that exciting and interesting and suspenseful.
yeah. I guess I'll kind of add my thoughts on this one. To put it, I guess I'll just get right to the point with this one. I thought that this was a really fun horror movie, and one that, when you look at January horror films, and particularly for the longest time, it was always known as the dumping ground for really bad movies, specifically bad horror films. And I'd say the last couple of years or so, there's always been like a couple that have actually been surprisingly really good. And considering that this is
Diamonds in the rough.
yeah, and considering this is the first new movie we've seen this year, and especially given January horror film, especially when the kick off the month and kick off the year, usually not the greatest track record. I thought this one was a solid one. When you talk about some of those movies, I think this one's miles better than a lot of those. And as someone who's seen a couple of the movies that this director has done, I think this is without question the best movie that he's done, or the only one that I would say is good to an extent. But it's one that's like, is it going to end up in my top 20 of the year? No, that probably not. Characters are really not memorable at all. Some moments could have played out a little bit differently, but just overall, just a really, really solid movie, and one that I had a lot of fun watching. And I feel like, kind of like what Jesse was saying, I didn't overstay its welcome. I love the practical effects. I think the guy in the suit did an amazing job and made it actually look convincing.
Yeah.
So yeah, a really fun movie overall.
I'd say so. I think to bounce off on that one point, the fact that all the characters seem to be interchangeable with one another, realistically, like if all their roles had switched, and it really wouldn't have really mattered to me.
Yeah.
It's just they're just victims for the monkey to rip their faces off or throw them off cliffs or whatnot. And but to that end, it's still really fun to see the thematics of it are far more important to me.
Yeah.
What are the thematics that you're looking at when it comes to this movie?
Like I said, the way they shoot all the scary scenes and how they build the tension, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like how they make you feel, or how they carry that out, for lack of better words.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree. This movie, at some points, actually had some really tense moments,
Mm-hmm.
especially because, in my mind, an ape slasher is really terrifying. And there was one where, I know we didn't talk about this earlier, but there was a kind of a POV shot where one of the whatever the frat guy was going upstairs. The camera follows behind him, and it's led to believe that that's probably Ben following him.
Right.
And he turns around, obviously there's nobody there, but it's led to believe that there was something where he was kind of crawling around in the background. So
And
that
like
was really
any
effective.
time there could be that payoff, and it just scares you.
Yeah, and also I love that this movie went for it, like gore-wise. I know I've said it probably a couple times now, but I love that they went for it. And it's just like, this is a slasher, and like people get hurt, but they get hurt in like really extreme ways.
Yeah, and also to the point of payoff, like it wasn't all just massive jump scare at the end of each death scene. Like sometimes it just builds off at just the right gradual rate to where right at the end, the monkey's there staring at them, especially with Drew.
Yeah.
Then he just grabs his jaw, and then there it is. There's the payoff that I mean, there are other scenes where it's like, oh, whoa, jump scare.
Yeah.
But, like, there's enough of each of those to where either of them don't like play out, and it's boring. All these very tense scenes play out in their own way, and it's really fun to see each of them.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. The payoff is gradual at some points. And yeah, I think it's really well done. I think for a January slasher movie, this was really fun.
Yeah.
I was very, very impressed, honestly, by how fun this was and just by how well constructed it is. It's not complicated, but it is very, very interesting in its own right. If you know, it might have something to say at some points, but it doesn't make that the whole movie. There's like a little bit of commentary in there, but honestly,
It doesn't subvert anything. It doesn't comment.
Yeah, or it
on
doesn't push
much.
that. It doesn't push that to the forefront.
it's also
At least on the surface
it's
level.
also not
Yeah.
saying anything unique. Look, you can analyze this movie the same you can analyze any movie. Perhaps it's about humanity's struggle for control, and it's about the question of will nature win or will humanity win, right? I mean, in this one, humanity won in the end, but humanity lost just about every other battle. You know, more. I'll tell you this. More people end up dead by the end of this movie than apes, than chimpanzees.
Right.
So you could talk about it as about the 5 stages of grief. That's interesting.
Yeah.
But
There could be a video essay on YouTube
right, it's like
eventually.
there's stuff here. It's not like they didn't. I don't think that they necessarily try to say they started with the idea of they're gonna make a movie about grief or.
No, definitely not. I would
You
be.
don't-
I would.
you
I'd
don't
be
have
shocked
to
if they
do
did.
that.
Yeah, you don't have
Right.
to. No, you
I
really
mean,
don't have
honestly,
to.
you probably shouldn't, right? Find your message along the way.
Yeah.
And by the end of this movie, it resolves everything dramatically and narratively, and it's a satisfying ending. There's
fun.
catharsis. It's good. You leave in good spirits, and then afterwards you can think about it and say, okay, maybe that's what that was about. But you don't feel it immediately. There's no second layer to get through before you get your gratification. And if the gratification is good at the end of that second layer, for a movie like that, that movie can be really good. But you run the risk of not having a good gratification after the second layer. And if you don't end your movie, then you might not have a movie with an ending. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But this movie does a very, very good job at that. And yeah, I think it's a very, very well constructed slasher movie, all things considered.
Very well done.
Yeah.
Move on to how many bananas out of 5 we rate this.
How many bananas?
How many bananas? For me, this is low 4 bananas, high 3 in appeal. So around that range.
Yeah. For me, I think this is a solid, like mid to high 3 in appeal bananas. I love the rating system for that. Yeah, a very, very enjoyable slasher film. By the end of the year, how much of a mark will this movie make on me? I don't know, but it's one that will be nowhere near my bottom 10 of the year, but also probably not one that will be anywhere near my top of the year. But this is one very fun movie, really enjoyable watch, great way to kick off 2026, and one that is an early contender for most surprising movie of the year, considering that some of the reactions after Fantastic Fest weren't so high. Kind of worried me a little bit, but watching this one, I thought it was pretty good. Nothing terribly special. Characters, not really anything to write home about, but fun movie. Really enjoyable watch.
Yeah, I really think this was a great kickoff to the year. I'm going to give this 4.2 bananas and maybe a little brown bit at the bottom of it.
I was about to say, how many peels is that?
And yeah, I mean, for a scary movie, this really was terrifying. It was a roller coaster for me. I'm not really used to that very tense movies like that, but to see that done so well, I really enjoyed the experience.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're done with ratings. Let's move into a comments.
Oh, we got
Boy,
some
more
comments.
Yeah, we have comments. So
How many?
so we have 2 comments.
Crazy.
What video?
On the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 review.
Oh, I know.
wow.
I'm pretty sure I know who wrote these.
So I think we responded to a comment on the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 review when we did, I believe, our Anaconda review. We happened to catch that guy in the middle of his watch of the video, and he left some more comments for us to read.
All right.
So is this 2? Like he just left 2 of them, or?
He left. He left 2 that we can respond to. There are some other. There are some plot details about the movie that he mentions that we missed.
Is this the friend of the show?
This is the friend of the show at Flixen on YouTube.
Okay.
Sup, Flixen?
So a couple of plot details. The second movie takes place a year and a half after the first movie. Abby Schwartz. What the fuck's her name?
Abby something.
Schmidt
Oh, Schwartz. The Schwartz was with her throughout the most of that movie.
She's in 6th grade. Wayne Knight played Newman from Seinfeld.
Oh yeah.
He says
Yeah,
that
Dennis Nedry.
he says that the in-script reason that Charlie survives so long after being stabbed is adrenaline, which I disagree with.
What?
Yeah, so
In script.
I mean,
Maybe in
is that
script, but in the movie
realistic?
that doesn't really play out like that.
his point is that when Charlie gets stabbed, her body might have released adrenaline, which allowed her to stay alive for that long. But I don't
Sure.
think I mean,
Eh. I
I
mean,
don't know.
they're ghost children and robots.
Yeah.
I can forgive that.
If anything, it should be a little less scientific. And yeah, so the first question is Scott, as in Scott Cawthon, both creator of the games and screenwriter of the movie, doesn't have any formal experience. Like, he didn't study in college or anything, right?
Right?
I don't think so.
What? I don't know anything about.
Let's fact check.
Did he go to college? Did he go to college? Is that the?
So he attended the Art Institute of Houston, which is an art school, and I mean, you'll never guess where. But as far as I know, he might have taken a class or two. I mean, we don't have access to his report card, but I think the big thing that he did in the Art Institute was computer graphics and game design.
AI says he graduated from AI Houston. I don't know how much that's true, but
AI is an Art Institute or artificial intelligence?
Art Institute.
Well, it's just two. So Scott Cawthon made some video games. He also made some animated Christian films
Yeah.
at the Art Institute. But then, like, he most of his writing was, I believe, in video games, like Pilgrim's Progress and The Desolate Hope. I don't know if he studied screenwriting or formal writing or creative writing in any way in college.
Hey, I don't either. It's just I guess there's not much of where.
Again, we don't
Besides
have
that,
we don't
yeah.
have access to his report card. Maybe if we did, we'd be able to give you a better answer. But he's not formally trained in the sense he doesn't have a degree in it or anything.
Yeah.
And then we have our second comment, also from Flixen. Blumhouse did a similar thing with Megan and Megan 2.0, where they tried to, quote, make it for the fans, and did less marketing and didn't improve the story, but try to make more references to the internet and memes. I think that's 100% true.
Yeah, I agree as well.
If you watch any of the ads for Megan 2.0, they didn't reveal the plot of that movie until a month before it came out. Like, we didn't have a premise or anything. It was just Megan dancing in a neon room going, "The bitch is back." And that's the whole trailer. And it's like, okay, now it's just Megan. You're just selling it to me because it's Megan.
Yeah.
And I have a whole piece about how the only reason that we think that Blumhouse is any worse than they used to be is because of Megan. And Megan being an original franchise with not much like backing it other than
Yeah, because the first movie was a surprising hit, and it's just like talk about totally wrong message or like getting too excited about having a franchise. Which, if you've seen the original Megan, does not work very well as a franchise. It works
Right.
as a self-contained like thriller movie, and I think it works well because of that. But if you try to expand it, especially go total like different genre, you're gonna fall on your face, which it seems like that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and the thing is with Blumhouse that after Megan, Megan became about selling Blumhouse, and then they were selling Megan as Blumhouse's franchise, which led people to pay more attention to the studio and their output, which has always been hit or miss. But yeah, Megan. I think Megan. Same thing happened with Megan and Five Nights at Freddy's 2. That it was not actually really selling the movie as much as it was selling you on the idea of a second Megan or a second Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah.
So yes, I completely agree with that sentiment. All right, do we have any more to say about either of those comments, about Primate, about Five Nights at Freddy's 2? Watch our weekly spoiler review on that if you're curious. Or should we jump into Letterboxd plugs?
I'm good. I'm good with letterbox plugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
All right. I am Threnv on Letterboxd. That is THRNV. I have a review for Primate up, and by the time you're watching this, I will have a list on Letterboxd public. That is my top 25 most anticipated of 2026. We released the episode on that just a few days ago. But if you're not interested in the episode and you just want the list and all the details, both the combined list and my personal list are up on my account.
Yeah. My letterbox is MJ Spiegel, all lowercase. That's MJSPIEGEL. By the time this episode comes out, I will have posted a couple of things. I've said a few times my 2025 end of year ranking is up. But now that we are in the 2026 year, by the time this comes out, you can find my 25 most anticipated movies of 2026. Our combined list, 2-part podcast on that, will probably be up by the time this comes out. If you had a lot of fun watching that and you want to see my complete list, be sure to check that out. And hopefully I'll have a review up for Primate by the time this comes out as well.
Yeah, on Letterboxd you can find me on Invaded Films, INVADEDFILMS. You know the drill. I will be posting all my 2025, hopefully, reviews that I've seen this year, and go check that out if and when that happens.
And if you have anything to say about Primate or movies or us or really just anything that you want to say, there's a comment section down below. You should leave a comment. We will read it on the next episode of the weekly spoiler review, and we will have a conversation on it. So with all that being said, roll credits.